Good morning, Dan. I would like to welcome you to the first edition of Spiced Up Wednesdays. Spiced Up Wednesdays is brought to you by Bacardi Spiced Rum.
All right.
Live passionately, drink responsibly. Bacardi is a registered trademark of Bacardi USA in Coral Gables, Florida. Rum, 35% alcohol by volume. To shop now, visit Bacardi.com.
They're not just sponsoring the local hour. It's the whole Wednesday they're spicing up.
The whole of Wednesday.
They own the week. Well, the day of the week.
This day of the week, as long as we are here, we are brought to you by Bacardi Spiced Rum.
That means that today, what is being brought to you is what? Matthew Tkachuk, one of the great hockey names of all times. Tkachuk, if I say to you, give me hockey names, that's top 5 hockey name, correct?
No question. I would say Chelios is in there. Great hockey name. Lemieux. Obviously, the Gretzkys.
The Hulls.
Yeah, the Hulls, of course. A long lineage of Hulls.
I feel like you should just make your list and give it to us.
I was just trying to say big hockey names.
Okay, not spicy enough. Not nearly spicy
That
enough.
list was not spicy.
Is Tyreek Hill saying that his choice between the Dolphins and the Jets was state taxes? Is that spicy for a Wednesday?
I think whenever a sentence begins with Tyreek Hill said, I think that fits into Spiced Rum Wednesdays.
Wrong vibes, guys. Wrong vibes. We're starting with hockey, and then we're doing Tyreek Hill stuff. Bad vibes. What are we doing?
You want to talk about taxes, Dan?
Yeah, jeez.
Okay, give me the vibes. What are the vibes
State
you want?
taxes bringing people to Miami, I'm here for.
I count on you for the spice, Billy, so spice it up.
Here's the thing. We probably need a theme song for Spiced Up Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, we need something to set the tone. Something picante. You know what I mean? Something that gets my blood flowing. Because
Something spicy.
now, yes, something spicy, exactly. Are we allowed to take shots of spiced rum, Bacardi Spiced Rum? Probably not
At
on
8
air,
in
right?
the morning?
Well, I mean, what are we going to do? This is the time we start.
Okay, but didn't you think of this beforehand when you were talking to Bacardi about how to sponsor Wednesdays, or just now it's coming to you how let's do shots at 8 a.m.? You think that's the way to go?
I don't think they want us doing that on air, so we probably can't do that. I'm just saying we need something. The energy's down today, Dan. Probably need some coffee. Lewis came in here and he looked like a sad sheep with the jacket that he was wearing. I don't know what's going on. Tony has no energy.
I bet
today
you Bacardi.
Was the day. Today was supposed to be our day, Dan. We've been talking about this for almost a year. We've had the energy in the past, and the energy's dwindled. I don't know what's been going on, but on Wednesday the energy has been down, and we need to bring it back up.
It's Billy, it's because Bacardi gave us all these like really soft, fuzzy sweatshirts, and now we all feel like we're about to take a nap.
Oh, they are so cozy, Dan. We can get into this later, but you can never have too many hoodies. I'm so glad that they sent us these hoodies. You can never have too many hoodies. This is the softest hoodie that I don't know. I'm sure that Bacardi does. Well, not I'm sure. I know that they do a great job with rum and spice rum in particular. It's been great. However, they do an even better job with hoodies, if that's possible. This might be the most comfortable hoodie I've ever worn. I don't want to wash it because I don't want it to shrink, and I don't want it to get itchy because that's what's going to go on with this.
You guys are swag monsters. It's
Monsters.
It's jarring to me how it is you guys, how quickly you gobble up things there that disappear so very, very fast. Tyreek Hill was insufficient to you. Hockey guest is insufficient to you. Later in the show, we've got Chelsea Handler, Jeremy Lin going to be later in the show. That's spicy, right? These are spicy things.
So spicy.
Chelsea Handler in particular. I believe the name of her comedy tour that is coming to the Hard Rock Live is
Spiced
called...
Rum with Chelsea.
No, it's called Vaccinated and Horny.
Oh.
Wow. Holy shit, I wasn't expecting that.
Is that a side
to come
effect?
out of your mouth.
Doesn't Bacardi mix with coffee? Isn't there a rum coffee
Certainly.
drink of some sort that we could throw together if you want to? I really do think, though, this should have been a planning meeting before we came on air as part of the sponsorship.
Dan, we're rolling it out. This is the first one. We're going to have many, many more.
That's right.
Well,
so many more.
All right, so I've got something spicy for both of you then, because I think Jessica and Billy will have opinions for me.
I can't wait.
Aaron Judge, the whole thing annoyed me yesterday for the first time. It had not yet annoyed me.
Welcome to the resistance.
But the celebration of this bogus record.
It was too much. His whole team on the field is too much. too much. Did you see what Roy's friend Will Kane was doing at the game? It was incredible. So Will Kane was at the game.
Why are you pointing to Roy while he can't even hear you? He's got headphones on and he's editing, and you just accused him on camera. He can't hear you as being friends with Will Kane.
Yeah, I mean, he could be friends with Will Kane. Who cares? It's not a big deal. So he was his boy Will Kane was at the game, but he was down in the concourse eating when the home run happened. So it's kind of like, why even be at the game? Also, I have a bone to pick with Bob Nightingale, but we don't need to get to that now. We can get to that later.
No, that's perfect for a spicy Wednesday.
Sure. So Bob Nightingale went around, and obviously when you hit the home run, people want to find out who's going to catch it. Someone caught the ball, security came, escorted the person down to begin negotiations that will go absolutely nowhere because it's estimated that that ball is going to go for $2 million, which is kind of crazy because, again, not really a record.
That's
I mean,
insane.
the AL home run record, and I guess a Yankees record, they just want to sell it to a rich Yankees fan, whatever. So they think that that ball could go for $2 million. So the person's not going to give that ball back.
But that guy was swaggering. That guy was surrounded by cameras. He was oozing New York, and he was headed to a negotiation where he's hoping Judge doesn't hit one today so that he's got the only ball. It'll be worth double, Ravel is saying, after if the season goes on and Judge doesn't hit any more homers.
So Bob Nightingale.
It's just one more game.
I mean, it's going to happen. And you're Mets, by the way. Sorry about that.
Well,
Speaking
no,
of
you're
home
Marlins,
runs,
by
let's
the
get to
way.
that later.
I mean, don't get swept by the Braves and handle your own business. We
Fair
can talk
point.
about
Yeah,
that.
don't rely on the team that's 25 games under 500 to do your bidding for you.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Anyway, so Bob Nightingale tweeted
Spicy.
out we're spicy today, Stugotz. It's a
Jeez.
spiced rum Wednesday.
Okay.
Spiced up Wednesday here, brought to you by Bacardi. So Bob Nightingale goes out and he tries to out the person that caught the ball. And he's like, this ball was caught by blah, 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 who's the vice president of this financial company that handles $197 billion and blah, 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 blah. To kind of like be like, look, a rich person caught it. Bleep all of you guys. And then people are obviously getting mad at Aaron Judge. Like, why didn't you hit it to a poor person? Right? But this is what happened. Then people went and started Googling this person's name, and it's a person that works at a company with that name, but the LinkedIn picture is clearly somebody else. So this may not be the person
Wait, he
that he thinks.
misidentified the home run ball catcher?
He seems to have misidentified the
No
person.
way.
Just if you follow the chain on Twitter, he seems to have misidentified the person, or the person looks drastically different now, right? And identify them as like the vice president of this company, making it seem like this person is worth like millions and millions of dollars, when it seems like this person's job title is actually like branch vice president, which is vastly different than vice president of the company.
It's assistant to the general manager vibes.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, there's never a retraction or correction or anything. Like it's like the time that when he hit number 61 and everybody thought that Lasagna was the guy that dropped the ball.
Frankie Lasagna!
But Frankie Lasagna wasn't the person that dropped the
No,
ball.
he was near the person.
Yeah, the person.
Apparently.
But
And
it's
his
a better
name was
story when Frankie Lasagna
Yeah,
drops the ball.
Frankie
though.
Lasagna seemed to be the person that got in the way of the
I love
person
Frankie
dropping the ball.
Lasagna.
Yeah. So I don't
Best
know.
story of the year.
I don't know what's going on with journalism in 2022, but we need to do a better job at identifying the people that are either catching or dropping important home run balls because we've misidentified 2 in a row. Do a better job, people.
It's not just the people catching them, Billy. Did you see what happened in the Mets game?
Oh, a good boy or girl.
A little golden retriever
Oof.
caught a home run ball. That's the only home run in New York I care about.
The Marlins yesterday, they allowed the Braves to clinch on their field.
I hated it. I changed the channel. I was watching, hoping that they would ruin it. As soon as they got I angrily changed the channel. I couldn't watch it. My hate for the Braves is so strong. I was so upset that they did it there. I was so upset. And this damn Mike Schur, I don't know if he was doing it intentionally, but he later sent me a picture of Kenley Jansen celebrating shirtless in the locker room. And I think that it was just kind of like because people were like, oh, this is funny. But I think that I don't know if he knows how much I hate the Braves because they're a division rival and because my entire childhood was watching the Braves win the National League East over and over and over. And then, by the way, never doing shit with it, but winning it over and over and over again until last year when they won the World Series.
How about that ethicist Mike Schur body shaming Jansen?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know what the intentions were. We can ask him about it if he's on today. We can get to the bottom of this because I was kind of wondering about that, you know?
What did we all think of Roger Maris Jr.'s tweet?
Enough of him.
I'm done with the whole thing. And I went from 0 to 100 very quickly just yesterday because it started to bother me. Oh, you guys are just actively trying to erase Barry Bonds again. I understand you don't like the steroids. I get that nobody likes the steroids, even though we kind of all loved the steroids when Brady Anderson was hitting 57 home runs.
Luis Gonzalez was hitting 56.
Baseball liked the steroids when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were having home runs.
Just such
they needed it.
It's such a bogus thing they're celebrating.
Can I ask a spicy question? Are you prepared? Chris, are you prepared for my spicy question?
Yeah, I'm fired up for your spicy question.
Do you think that baseball is celebrating it to erase Barry Bonds, or do you think that baseball is celebrating it because they need anything to celebrate for attention? To take away from football and basketball that's not going on.
Billy, can it be a little column A, a little column B?
I think it's more Billy's column B because what else right now in baseball could command attention?
We need a star, you're saying? You think it's a manufactured, a television contrivance that is something they're force-feeding us, harkening back to a different day, Stugotz, because This was a normal part of a whole generation's growing up, the chasing of these records and breaking in. But baseball, and we know this, baseball's numbers don't mean anything anymore because of the steroid age, and they're just clinging.
Those guys ruined the numbers. I mean, they did. It was great. It was exciting to watch, but Sosa, McGwire, and Bonds really have distorted and ruined the one thing that was important to Major League Baseball fans.
But the Yankees celebrate everything. The Yankees over-celebrate. Like, I'm tired. Everything's history with the Yankees. Everything is a number with the Yankees. They've retired how many people with the exact same number? Enough with the Yankees. Like, everything is calculated. Everything is, oh my God, we're about to break the number of times Babe Ruth pooped in the bathroom on a Tuesday, and then we like celebrate it, and then they have like a day that everybody comes and celebrates it, and then there's a bobblehead of Babe Ruth on a toilet, and it's like enough already with everything, Yankees, okay? Like, I think it's just to distract also that they haven't won a World Series since like 2009, and like by my count, and I haven't been alive super long, but this is like one of the longest stretches that they've gone without winning a World Series, and we're trying to distract people from that with these stupid records. Get it done in October or don't talk to me.
There it is.
This record doesn't count if you don't win it at the end of the year.
Done in October or don't talk to me.
Technically, he did get it done in October, but that's only because of the fact that there was like a holdout situation
a lot of pressure
going
there.
on. Win the whole damn thing or shut up already. Enough, Aaron Boone.
So we should all wait until the playoffs, see if they win something, and then we celebrate the World Series and the home run record at the same time.
I think you can only celebrate accomplishments retroactively that were accomplished by the people that won the championship that season in every sport.
Ooh.
Moving forward, if the championship team didn't do it, it didn't count that season.
What is that?
So wait, so if Lamar Jackson wins MVP, but the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl, you don't get to celebrate the MVP.
That's exactly right. In fact, they should take it away. He wouldn't actually win the MVP, right? Actually, no, that's not true. Football does it where they announce it before the Super Bowl, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, the major stakes. You can only give it to someone that's playing in the game, and then you kind of win it with the Lombardi, right? The MVP.
What are you doing?
I'm spicing things up.
You're just being maximum Stugotz, just taking it. No records count unless you win the championship. Checkmated all of you. That's it.
He does have 11 homers to go.
No records.
Can he hit 11 today?
Are important.
Baseball will try their hardest. Today, they're going to announce a rule. Today, in Major League Baseball, games last 30 innings.
I guess that
only Aaron Judge comes up to bat for the Yankees. All 9.
But it's working. If your accusation is right, Billy, then it's working, right? We are talking about something, whether it's rejecting it or not, whether it's just a polarizing thing because Jessica is leading Sean McDonough over to leave my college football alone. I don't want any more cut-ins. You've arrived in a place where people are talking about something in baseball the way they're not talking about Padres, Mets, or, Phillies, Cardinals.
Baseball was just an accepted part of the national sports culture in the 2000s. Like, Baseball Tonight was on every single night. And 10 p.m. you flipped on ESPN. There were nights just like, oh man, does it really have to be baseball for an hour? But it just became part of the furniture. And I think you can almost mark when that show went away as a daily staple, that it wasn't necessarily part of like national sports coverage in exactly the same way. A new era of SportsCenter has marshaled in many more baseball highlights than before, but the era of SportsCenter, the era of baseball tonight, meant that baseball was just in your life all the time, and now baseball has to sort of wedge its way into your life, and I think now some people are starting to reject it.
Stugotz, to the power of television, right? Because this happened in hockey and baseball, both sports. When ESPN started caring less about those sports or let those sports go, American sports fans who largely consumed their sports through ESPN, a generation of them started to care less. You and I grew up on Baseball Tonight. Every single night, the baseball highlights were on for a half hour in the middle of recapping your night. It was said to be the hardest show to host on the network in the history of the network. A half hour or an hour of them just doing baseball, bang, 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 bang from all around the sport. And in there is where people will blame steroids, but in there is where it started to dissolve, correct? Where it's moving too slow and it's not changing quickly enough. You guys you're hanging on to all your numbers, but you're not marketing to a younger generation by speeding things up in any way.
Well, I think the thing you cared about was always the numbers. Like baseball could always hang its hat on the records, the numbers. Those are the important things. Those are the important moments. But yes, I think the NFL and the changes they made and the NBA becoming more and more popular, it was really the slowness of the game as you and I got older. Kids don't want to sit around. And I told you this when I took my kids to their first Met game. The lamest thing about the entire day was the game. Like, they wanted to walk around the stadium. They wanted to play in the kid zone. They wanted to do anything but watch the baseball game. And I wanted to watch the baseball game. And I think the slowness and just how boring the game has really become has affected baseball more so than the records being broken or skewed or distorted by Bond, Sosa, and McGwire.
I couldn't help. I don't know if you guys thought of this. As I saw home run catcher guy stride through the ballpark.
He's got $2 million in his hands, Dan.
No, and he had a drink too. And,
and that's what you do.
And he's got cameras in tow, and he can't stop to be interviewed because this is it felt like a transactional moment for him, and he was really feeling New York in his chest. And I imagined, I don't know if you guys did this, I imagined Stugotz in the same scenario.
Oh, God.
Stugotz catches the Aaron Judge home run ball. And the way this person was walking, just sort of tolerating the cameras as he walked along and gave interview and strode into his $1 million future of negotiation. It's not that he had the stride. The reason it made me think of Stugotz is because more valuable than the baseball and whatever the money it is that it will receive is that moment where he can stride into negotiations a winner.
It's a great feeling.
I would hide my
winning
face.
Position. I mean,
how many morning television appearances would Stugotz have lined up? Like in between when he caught the ball and walked out of the big ones. He'd be on GMA within 5 minutes.
Yep.
I would be like one of the feds that you see like in all those movies where they're like arresting the drug lords in like other countries where they're like completely covered so no one knows their identity. That would be me. I wouldn't want anybody to know that it was me. I'd also be afraid to lose the ball because I have baseballs. What happens if I toss it in a pile and I confuse the ball and then I don't know? Like, I would want no one. I wouldn't trust myself. I think I'd go to like a bank and put it in like a safety deposit box, right? But I wouldn't trust anyone with that. Like,
right.
I don't know. I would not be able to handle the stress of getting that ball.
Do you ever buy lottery tickets?
You'd rather not have $2 million, Bill. Is that what you're saying?
But everyone has also done the fantasy where they win the lottery and they figure out what they do. So that is by an order of magnitude more stress than having a home run ball.
Yeah, I mean, every time I buy a lotto ticket, I get stressed with the possibility that I may get the 1 in 1 trillion whatever of winning, because then I start thinking like, how do I find the person that's going to represent me in this? How do I then claim it 30 days? How do I start the LLC? How do I do this whole thing? You got it.
Yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll do it. I'll build the LLC for you. We'll fly up to Tallahassee. We'll take a private jet, me and you.
That's the thing. I don't want a private jet. I feel like I would have it just kind of sitting somewhere and not use any of it ever.
My first thing with the lottery is what's my alibi to get out of work? Because
I would just
If
quit.
you're rich.
Goodbye. I'm done.
No, but
What do you
like
mean, what's your alibi?
until you reveal to the public that you're a lottery winner.
My tum-tum hurts. Why does it matter?
Yeah.
Are we talking like a couple of $100 million?
Yeah.
Life-changing?
No, but if I suspiciously don't show up to
You
work
quit
the next morning,
right? You call Dan, you just say, "Hey, won the lotto. That's it. I'm done.
Really?
Sorry, I love you. I'll come in for a week or
we're talking about
two."
before that when you don't like you're anonymous. You don't want the public to know who you are.
I think Dan would probably be the last
person.
person I'd tell because he'd probably show up to the local hour the next morning like, "Hey, Woody won the lottery."
Yeah.
Exactly. Do not tell Dan Le Batard.
No. Gary would be calling you to invest in the company. It'd be a whole thing.
Can you explain to me, Billy? Because I was imagining Stugotz striding into negotiations, but you've now caught the ball. Where are you going? What are your?
I'd dig a hole and put myself in it, hide forever. I don't know what I would do. Honestly, I don't know what I would do. I wouldn't trust myself with the ball. I wouldn't be able to sleep until the situation.
But no, just take me through the catching of the ball. You say not sleep, but I'm asking you. This guy was being followed by cameras.
Yeah.
Through the corridors, and he was clearly walking to go talk to the important people about how do we make this millions of dollars for me.
Well, my life has changed, right? Because like as a kid growing up and watching like Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, when I was watching that home run chase, I was like very young and innocent and pure, and I thought, I'd do the right thing. I'd give him the ball back. And now I'm like, bleep that. Aaron Judge is going to make like $200+ million in this offseason. This is going to be my one chance to like change my life and change the life of my family. Like, why on earth would I just hand that over for an autographed baseball bat when this could take care of my kid going to college?
Charm and nostalgia.
Everything. Like, why? Like, I'm sorry, but like the reality of the situation came in. Like these
sportsmanship.
But no.
Stupidity.
No, because I'm sorry, Major League Baseball is $1 billion entity. Like, if they want this piece of history that's so important to put in their museum, like they can kind of take care of me and their family for doing a solid for them. Same thing with Aaron Judge. Like, I'm sorry, you're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. This is my one chance
Billy,
to take care of my family.
This is what I thought as I'm watching this guy stride through the ballpark.
I say that now, but if they get me in that room, you're like, okay, yes, sir, here you go, have your ball, please.
Right,
You're
Billy,
welcome.
you cannot go into that room. You cannot
No, I
go
can't.
into
Not
that
alone
room.
for
Right.
sure.
Yes.
Not
you leave
alone.
thanking
Yes.
them, but they have the ball.
Exactly.
You leave with nothing, Billy.
Yeah,
Okay?
I would. Yeah, I get screwed.
Billy, didn't a few big ones happen at then Dolphin Stadium or Landshark Stadium? I feel like Ken Griffey hit 600 there.
Didn't
I
McGuire
can't talk
have a
about
big
that one
there?
again. I can't talk about the 600th by Ken Griffey again. Day of my foot surgery that I had, I couldn't go. I was drugged up,
I've
bleeding
heard this
through my.
story.
I can't do it again. I'm gonna bore the audience. I can't do it.
I love that this is the new American dream. It's like happened to be in the bleachers during a historic home run, and that's how you change the generational wealth of all of the family that comes after you.
I was really
It's the only way.
I was really surprised when Albert Pujols hit the last one that he hit in St. Louis. I think he's hit another one since, but when he hit the last one he hit in St. Louis, which I think was 703, he hit it to like that grassy area in center field, which like historically in St. Louis, when they hit it there, everybody like runs on it. They used to do it in Texas also in the old stadium. Everyone would run and try to catch it. And like that thing landed and people were like very slowly, like cautiously like crawling over and walk, and then someone just ran and like grabbed him. Like, why weren't there more people trying to get that ball?
I'm surprised they didn't have a security procedure for that exact situation.
Oh, they probably kick you out of this. Like, if you're going into areas, because I remember when Mark McGwire was doing it, he hit one of his home runs, which wasn't like the record-breaking one. He hit like number 57 or something down here, and he hit it into like the blue tarped area in dead center field, and everybody like went running, and it was dangerous because it was just tarps covering, and people were falling in between the seats trying to get that baseball. And then I believe, if memory serves me, and I'm not being overly dramatic, that the next day fences were put up, and I think there was barbed wire, but there may not have been barbed wire keeping people out of that section.
I feel like
But
you're imagining
my
that.
memory
That's not
had
true.
barbed
That's
wire
not in
being
any way
there,
true.
and I
It was
think there
not-
was
it was
fire involved
Attica.
too.
He's got
But
it
there was
being
definitely
Attica.
barbed wire. I don't know if the fire was
No.
involved, but I remember barbed wire and thinking, wow, that's really dangerous. And people would still jump over that to get one of those balls.
What I imagined, what I'm not kidding you when I say that the customer's taking a beating, throwing things at the athletes,
Right.
hostility between the customer and the athlete. But on this one moment, you got to see a fan on behalf of business and us and greed, and I want to take some of my dollars back. that guy, it would be the subject of think pieces because he was a symbol for finally the fan has some strength. I'm gonna go negotiate here.
I would so abuse that strength and power.
But I think a lot of people listening to this would. I wonder how many
Except
would
Billy.
actually be Billy though, and stride in there with that intent, and then just cave for a couple of tickets and a hoodie.
I feel like
You can never have too many hoodies.
okay, so obviously, like, money would be the most obvious one, but what would be the coolest one? Like, what if you have like a Costanza level role within the Yankees organization? Like, you go in there and say, "Hey, I want a job and on a 10-year contract with the Yankees."
Consultant,
Like
Yeah.
a pseudo president,
Right,
or
like
something.
assistant
Right.
GM or and just an
Right.
office somewhere, Yankee Stadium.
Assistant
GM is a
GM.
I
big
don't-
job, man.
I don't know. Just you walk in there, and you start asking for
to
stuff.
the GM.
You think Cashman's going to be like, well, should we pull the trigger or not? Let's talk to person who caught number 62, see what they
No,
think.
but Billy, let's do this though. Let's make it a negotiation on things that you would want, and what do the Yankees have that's of value that isn't just money? The Yankees would like to just pay and have you go away, correct? Just here's a sum of money.
It's
Now,
a fruitless negotiation. The Yankees are not going to be the highest bidder on it. When they easily could be, but they're not going to be the ones that do it.
Well, who
gonna
will?
It's going to be some Joe
Like
Schmo
a
that,
collector?
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone that wants to show off and say that they have the ball and put it somewhere to display in their house. To
What the
impress
Yankees
people.
do, because they get to you first, is they try to lowball you. You're right.
Of course.
Because they get to you first, right? Which is why you have to travel with an attorney. I mean, there's no question about
wait,
it.
that
Wait a
means
minute.
you're going to the game
You
with
should-
an attorney.
I bring a lawyer to that kind of game.
Okay,
Yes.
you just
Attorney
knowing that
catches
you're
the
going to catch
ball.
it.
There's probably 10,000 people in the
Stugotz
outfield. Can you
played-
imagine?
no, no.
5,000 civilians and 5,000 attorneys.
That's what was out there. That's probably some of them were their own attorney. But
Do you think like an enterprising Arlington area attorney showed up in the outfield?
Rusty
and was just-
Harden was there doing something.
Right, yeah,
Handing
no,
out
he was
cards.
he was just shoveling hot dogs in his face until someone told him, "I'm here for you. If you need me, I'm here."
You have him handing out cards in the
yes,
outfield.
and Rusty Harden is adjusting his toupee and handing out business cards in right center and left field. Yeah.
That's why he's one of the all-time great attorneys.
How can Stugotz be playing the result on I would have caught the ball and known I was going to catch the ball and had an attorney with me for what would have been the inevitable negotiation I knew when I bought my ticket that I would be in the middle of?
I was also thinking to myself, was yesterday the best time to have a ticket behind home plate? Because the valuable tickets are probably the ones in left field. Even if you get one in right field, you're like, oh, I'm like, he's got to hit an Oppo Boppo in order for me to get this record ball. Like the left field bleachers have probably never been more valuable in the history of baseball, have they?
Has the fan ever been stronger than that guy walking through the corridors with the value in his
fans
hand?
are helpless and hopeless in terms of negotiating with their the sports entities with which they pretend to root for. And this is the one moment of leverage that fans have.
Do you guys see the video of the guy like 10 seats down falling over the railing trying to reach for the ball? He was nowhere near it. It's in the video. It's crazy.
Like fell like 10 feet down
Yes,
behind
like,
the wall.
He was reaching for it and he was nowhere near it and like fell over.
Is he okay?
The camera, I assume so because I haven't heard anything about it. But
You think that person, and obviously thoughts and prayers to the family. Hopefully this person's doing well and isn't seriously injured. You think that person thought like, if I'm not getting that ball, I'm getting a check. One way or another, I'm getting paid today.
Right.
the Yankees are paying?
One way or
Accident
another,
attorney.
someone's paying
An
for this.
accident attorney.
An accident attorney you see in the video pushes him.
Old Rusty's out
Hey,
there.
give me a little shove, please.
Representatives from 1-800-401
He brought his own accident attorney, and he said, "This is the deal today, buddy. We're getting that ball, or we're getting a check."
You guys realize this movie didn't hold up. It's from a million years ago, but it's the movie Warriors, and it was just street gangs trying to make their ways through the streets of New York. You guys realize what it is that you have described the left field bleachers as in New York and Wall Street, hungry for money. Everyone out there knew that
This is in
something-
Texas. This is in Texas.
Okay, but
yeah.
okay, my bad. But either. Oh, you know what? My bad. I thought he was always walking through the corridors of Yankee Stadium. I didn't realize he was in Texas.
No, Yankees
Yeah.
fans saw none of the big home runs. Not 61, not 62. That's
Rusty-
why Rusty's there. Yeah,
Short drive, yes.
Yeah,
short
he's
commute.
He's always in Texas doing something. Yeah.
Exactly.
I would just like to, in the spirit of Tony Topper and Mike Schur from Monday, I was the first to this take that enough with Aaron Judge and the Yankees.
You were.
And finally people
Yes.
have caught on and taken my side. I just want a little bit of credit for being the foremost opinion haver on this.
Well,
is
this
too much
you were
with
here
61 home runs.
Trendsetter.
You were here first, and you're now looking at this conversation, and you're like, "Where have you guys been?"
I had this conversation 2 weekends ago in my head. But welcome to the resistance.
We're 2 weeks behind
Is
you.
it over now? Like, it's over, right? There's no more
Yes,
cutting.
it's over.
Well,
Right.
but Spicy Wednesday is just beginning. Spiced Up Wednesday. What are those things that you're doing? What is that? What is that?
These are just pieces of wood because we didn't have the actual instruments yet. But
Dan, they're called un
Instruments?
bloque, Dan.
Okay.
Oh.
What was the first bit of sound you played? What was that?
That was fan noise from the Aaron Judge home run. I still had it on my Twitter feed open.
All right. Is it feeling spicy yet?
I don't know. I don't feel it. I don't feel it yet. We're getting there. I saw Father of the Bride. Speaking of spicy,
Oh my God, Billy, did you see the J-Lo trailer for Shotgun Wedding?
no.
Oh my God, we need to talk about this in the Big Suey.
It was shocking. It was a shocking plot twist in the
Billy,
middle of
this
that
movie
trailer.
has your name written all over it.
Which one is that? Because I saw the one where she. I saw the Marry Me, the one with Owen Wilson.
This one's not out yet.
Good movie.
It's coming out, I think, soon. I don't even want to spoil it for you. I'm going to make you watch the trailer. And if you're listening to this, go on Twitter. I retweeted it last night and watch the trailer. One of the best movie trailers I've ever seen. It has Billy Gill's name. He might have executive produced it.
Al Michaels the other night, Stugotz, said that when Tua was hurt, that this was going to open up a hornet's nest. And I think Mike Ryan yesterday opened up a hornet's nest around here because someone has written in, Dion not being number one on Mike's list is absurd, LOL. Being 5 should stop him from talking sports forever. Primetime shut down whole sides of fields. And then when QB said the hell with it and chucked it over there, it got picked and a lot of times picked 6. But he was a Seminole and Reed is a Hurricane. So there you go.
You don't get the show.
We've got some more top 5 lists that we didn't get to yesterday. Stugotz's top 5 list. He was confused by it
It's a
driving
weird
home.
list,
He didn't
yeah.
understand
Right.
the list that he was making. But it is top 5 people in the world who would make you put down your principles and everything you've ever considered holy and dear to you because you didn't want to be tackled by them.
Right. So not people in the world, just football players.
Well, just anybody.
because you started with Bobby Wagner. It's a wordy list, by the way.
Agreed.
I mean,
agreed.
yeah.
Jessica's better. She's got top 5 hockey names for us.
Ooh, I
I'm
like
trying to
that.
understand Stugotz's list. So it's people basically you just don't want to get tackled by.
It's not my list. Dan asked for us to put together a list, and I put together a list. That's all.
All
I mean,
that happened, Billy, is that there was an animal rights protest and that landed near Bobby Wagner. And I was just saying, Bobby Wagner then leveled the protester, and because Bobby Wagner's always where he's supposed to be. This is all we know about Bobby Wagner is if you're playing football, he's going to be where he's supposed to be. And it's a bad place to land as a protester.
Can I ask a question respectfully to PETA? And I'm saying this on the front end. Do those ever lead to really anything? Like the running around and having like a cause on your shirt? Like does that ever actually
Brings
amount
attention to it,
But
doesn't
does
it?
it ever raise money or whatever? Like does that ever accomplish its intended purpose? Like the woman that glued her hand to the floor. What was that for? Does anyone remember?
If you're wearing
Yeah.
if you're wearing a T-shirt and then suddenly someone's down a rabbit hole of animal cruelty, then you're picking up followers from the shadows by going to some place where the lights are. No, I would assume it's to bring attention to causes that are in the shadows.
I feel like some protesters, you can't figure out what their cause is because they get taken off the field or court so quickly. I do remember the basketball one was because the owner of the Minnesota team had some sort of like animal farm where they were mistreating animals. And so I did read about that afterwards. But yes, Billy, I don't know, to your point, if it actually like does anything other than raise awareness, which is probably just what they're trying to do.
Ron McGill, our greatest animal advocate said yesterday that he doesn't think it helps. So I think to answer your question, the answer is probably no. To Jess's point, I do think the Glenn Taylor thing with the Minnesota Timberwolves did drive attention to what precisely he is doing, but what does that attention result in, I guess, would be sort of the cynic's view of that.
I get to your top 5 lists in a second because Witty, what is your top 5 list?
Well, you said it was Jessica's, but I have hockey families.
Okay, you've got hockey
Yeah,
families.
I've got hockey families.
Family names. Family names. Just
All right.
because in honor of the Kachucks. Yes, but when you mentioned the Timberwolves, it
You
just made
snapped Roy into attention after 50 minutes of Spiced Rum Wednesday.
Roy's been waiting for this topic his entire
he
life.
nodded off. The Timberwolves made me think, though, Billy, in the war between Jeter and A-Rod for the thing that Aaron Judge is going after, King of New York, during a different time in baseball. Sampson has told us that in the bidding for the Marlins, he pitted A-Rod against Jeter. A-Rod's late career moves are to do a Manning cast on ESPN, to also be on Fox, to date Jennifer Lopez, and to buy the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jeter resigns here, a failure in Miami. The cupboard isn't particularly stocked, and he goes back to a documentary to repair his image as A-Rod is courtside at all the Timberwolves games. So who's winning in retirement, Jeter or A-Rod?
Well, I mean,
Good question.
they have pitching. They just don't have any offense. I'm not here to defend Derek by any means because he took my beloved home run sculpture out of there and he took my fish tank away from
Amen,
home
Billy.
plate, and that's gone. And then he goes and these things are gone. I feel like once he left, we should have gotten the fun back, right? But it's not how it works. You can't just, I guess, move a sculpture again for a third time for millions of dollars and then put a fish tank behind home plate that probably maybe should or shouldn't have been there. And I'm sure that has probably led to people running around with shirts on saying there shouldn't be fish tanks behind home plate. I'm kind of bummed to hear that Ron McGill's not in favor of that because then we can't irresponsibly ask people to run around with Ron McGill Foundation shirts to do stuff because we would never do that because that's super irresponsible and
It's
he doesn't
something
want
we
that.
might do on
so
the
don't do
Bacardi
that.
Spicy.
No, we would never.
Spicy
Too
Wednesday.
spicy, Dan.
That's
Too
too
spicy.
spicy. Okay, don't want to be too
I'll
spicy.
say this. In retirement, A-Rod, I think, had the upper hand at the beginning. He had all of the favorable press. He had the J-Lo situation. He was kind of everywhere. He was a bit beloved for strange reasons and in corny ways where he was kind of like the awkward dad that you're like, oh, this guy's a little awkward, but whatever. Yeah, what a fun guy, right? And then he was doing things like on social media. But now Jeter's on social media, and I love it. I don't know why, but I love it. Even if it's fake and contrived, I love the Jeter social media movement. I love the things of him driving around with his kids. It's
Whittingham,
so
what are you
great.
doing?
I
You seem
love it.
disgusted by
Somebody's
this.
doing it for him.
No way,
Like,
Jose.
Derek Jeter is not sat around being clever. Also, spoiler alert: Tom Brady is not that clever on social media
Whoa,
either.
too soon.
There's
He's
a
going
team.
through it, man.
There's a team of people that are doing
You
that
mean
for
he
him.
doesn't illustrate and write the TV Times by himself?
No, he does not. All of that
What?
stuff is being managed by a person.
But I
Multi-
see
multiple
Derek
people,
Jeter's
actually.
face. G's in the videos. He's talking. He's driving his own car.
Being told what would make for good content.
Yeah, that's working, bud.
You know what's good content? That J-Lo movie.
Oh, Dan, I saw the trailer. What a good movie. I can't wait until January 27th. Amazon people, if you're out there. Actually, I have a friend that works at Amazon. Send me a trailer. Send me something. I want to see that movie before January 27th. I can't wait. Dan,
Screener. He wants a screener.
I want a screener. Dan, imagine a world where Jennifer Lopez is getting married to Josh Duhamel, friend of the show, enemy of the show. Josh Duhamel, who was not happy with the Transformers interview years ago that happened on ESPN
He wasn't
Radio.
happy, or his
Jesus.
people weren't happy. I thought it was his people.
How many of these have you guys done?
Well, this one wasn't our fault. This one was a day. This one was a day that we
Good
weren't
God.
in. This one was a day that we weren't in.
Ryan Hollins.
Ryan Hollins upset him as a
This is a
fill-in
good one.
because he asked him if Transformers were racist.
Let's find that sound real quick because this wasn't even our
I
fault.
think ESPN kept that one down.
We weren't that. No, I think
No,
we
we
might have been
haven't.
able- I
Yeah.
think we were able to get
Yeah.
that.
They were happy to get rid of
I
that.
think they
Yeah.
wrestled that
Yeah.
way.
Yes, is
throw-in.
Ryan Hollins still on ESPN? Ryan Hollins had a few moments at ESPN, but yes. So, anyways, that trailer, I saw it as well. What do you want people to know other than halfway through the trailer, there's a plot twist?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to spoil. Well, if you see the trailer, it becomes an incredible action movie that I can't wait to see out of nowhere. It seems like it's a rom-com love story, and then Lenny Kravitz shows up, it seems, right?
Yes. And I thought that was the twist.
I thought that was a twist, and then nope. Machine guns and knives and explosions and zip lines.
And Jennifer Coolidge.
Can I ask you guys about the action movie that I thought I was watching yesterday in the G League?
Victor Wembanyama?
Who?
Yes. Well, wait.
Get familiar with that name.
Why?
Get familiar with that name.
Stugotz,
Say it again.
Stugotz, do
Victor
not mock this.
Wembanyama.
Listen to me. Do not mock this.
Victor.
Okay.
Got it.
This is Giannis with a wingspan. You've just never seen someone like this. 7'4" with all the game. And he blocks 5 shots yesterday, and he's got 7 threes, and he's very young, and
Did have 0 assists.
but his wingspan is crazy.
Ball hog.
It's okay.
This guy's
Let's
offensive.
not talk about it anymore. Let's just have Stugotz.
What team is he on?
Let's just have Stugotz say who is that, and then his analysis be ball hog.
No assist.
And-
Dan, I said it out loud at the exact same time as him in this room, and I've never hated myself more.
Stugotz.
It's a bad feeling.
It's a bad feeling.
Smetty, you are going to be doing college
What
football
team?
things with Mike Golick, correct? You're going to be doing that this weekend?
Correct. Next weekend, a week from Friday, the 14th in South Bend, Mike and I will be doing a live show at O'Rourke's, presented by Redacted. Listen to Golick and Smetty. They're one of our big sponsors. 7:30 at O'Rourke's, Notre Dame. Very excited for it. I'll be out of town for a few days, so I wanted to plug it while I'm still in the studio because I have some weddings and things coming up, hence the mask. I'm a little terrified there's sickness floating around here. I'm trying to be as cautious as possible. Probably not cautious enough around all of you mouth breathers, but I'm very excited to be with Mike next weekend. Stugotz may or may not parachute in and disrupt the entire thing.
I won't.
Oh, wow. That's a firm no. That is not
Honestly,
even the kick the
Stugotz,
can down
I
the
wasn't
road
invited.
I'm
lie.
going to hug you right now.
That's
Just-
the truth.
just
the
for gi-
rare
just for
truth.
giving a
I can't
definitive
believe,
answer.
I can't believe.
Stugotz, all I've ever wanted
What
you to
just
say to me
happened?
was no.
I
That's
can't.
all I've ever wanted you
I'm
to say to me.
stunned. This is growth from Stugotz. I thought for sure, Smetty, that he would pretend for 10 days he was going to spend time with you.
But I don't think that's true. I think that's the week that you're supposed to be up there to see Northwestern.
No, I'm going up. Well, the next 4 weeks I have to go up in that area. Northwestern, Notre Dame. Yeah, weekends, Billy, okay? I am planning to go to Notre Dame for the Northwestern Notre Dame game. That's the first week of November. And I think Notre Dame plays Clemson that weekend, right?
All right, I think Billy's face is suggesting to me that he's got an avalanche of lies to reveal now that have to do with stupidity, God bless football, things that he's been telling you.
You were so proud of me yesterday on Stupidity. You did a top 5 things you were proudest of me.
I was. We talked to Dale Jr., Dan. We talked to Dale Jr. and Stugotz did a number of things that made me proud. He did, and if you're listening to the episode, you can hear it. He didn't ask him to bring on a famous friend. He didn't play Dale or Stale or anything like that.
It was Dale or Bale.
Didn't play it.
Didn't play it? I'm disappointed.
Dale or Bale?
Ask him
Dale or Bale.
Ask him a serious question about donating his brain to concussion research and concussion effects. There's lots of things. He didn't make a bet with him. He didn't ask him to drive his car. He didn't do any of that.
What does that have to do with football?
It's stupidity. That's not this week's episode of God Bless
No,
Football,
yeah.
so.
Well, I mean, he tried to shoehorn it in, but we said no.
Yeah, but a day later, you are skeptical of my schedule
Well, a
going
minute
up.
ago, you just said the next 4 weeks you're going to be up in that area.
The next
So-
4 weekends, yes.
Yeah, this is a Friday. It's a weekend. You will be around.
Well, I'll be in Evanston, Illinois. She's going to be at Notre Dame. It's a couple hours away, right?
It is. Evanston,
Right.
very far north of the city.
I might
Try
hop
to
by.
pretend
I
it's
mean.
Chicago, and it's not.
One in Rome.
I'm just afraid you're going to do like a Wedding Crashers thing. That's all.
I'm not.
Okay.
No.
We'll
You
see.
can have Golick all to yourself that weekend.
Oh.
I feel like I have a basketball prospect that Stugotz can get behind because Victor Wembanyama is going to be, a name that we talk about a lot.
Hold on, wait,
A-
but
a
before
lot
you-
of teams will be tanking for Wembanyama.
Before you keep going, how
Yeah.
many times did you practice saying that in the mirror last night?
None.
Really?
It's a name that comes naturally.
it's been-
it's a name that's sort of out there in the NBA
Well,
conversation
for
because
months now, people have been talking about how unusual his length is and having that game. This isn't.
Chicken time.
That's not true!
It's a name that comes naturally to me.
You didn't know who he was till this week.
It's a lonely chicken.
The chickens, I really don't
Roy
understand.
just said,
Why
"Whatever,
is
I'm not
there a
listening."
stray chicken or two? I thought the chickens were usually united about this. This was just bored chickens wandering around and being argumentative. I do believe that Whittingham, and I don't have confidence around this name, but Wembanyama is someone that
far away.
that you've been talking about, that people have been talking about for months, because it seems, Stugotz, that when he spreads his arms, it's the length of the court. It's Giannis with threes, and you could just see what he's going to be in 5 years if he's healthy. Where the things that he does around the rim, you're just not used to seeing from someone who's 7'4".
And it seems as though there's at least two teams, actually, well, three: Indiana, San Antonio, and Utah, that will aggressively throw things away this season, and perhaps more. Maybe Oklahoma City goes for another tanking season because they want to get either this guy or, Stugotz, the name that I promised I think you can get behind, the number 2 prospect that I also believe played in this game in the G League Ignite game last night.
Stugotz is going to love him.
His name is Scoot Henderson.
Scoots.
And from what I'm told by basketball scout Tony in the corner, Scoot can scoot.
Scoot can fly. He put up videos last year doing like behind the back, between the legs dunks where it's like insane stuff that we don't even have in the dunk contest here. He's doing it at a gym, so really excited for him.
And Stugotz, in the middle of that, 38-year-old Pooh Jeter.
What?
That's right. I was running around on the court with the future of basketball, Scoot, and a 7'4" dude, Stugotz. I'm surprised that you haven't heard of him at all, just because people, when you see videos of this, I was having trouble with how am I going to extrapolate what Chet Holmgren is going to be. And then you see this, and it's the next evolution of Chet Holmgren, where it's even longer, younger, and at 7'4", I don't know what this sport is going to look like in 40 years if the Earth is still here. But
it's a big if.
When you're looking at somebody, when you've watched a lifetime of NBA basketball, and you look at somebody who's 18, and you're like, oh, good God. Like you're looking and like, what?
But you mentioned Chet. Like there was a quality about watching Chet Holmgren where it just sort of looked like that was going to break at some point. And before he could even play in an NBA game, it did. And he's out for a long period of time, I believe, with a foot injury that he picked up in off-season training. There's something about Wembanyama where I don't look as though that's uncomfortable. You know when you watch Greg Oden run up and down the floor, and it's like, that looks uncomfortable.
Well,
it looks natural, is that what you're saying?
Sean Bradley,
Yes.
Boban,
Yeah.
all of these giants, and yes, of course. Where
Wembanyama's 7'3", and it looks like him dribbling the ball, him running up and down the floor looks natural.
Well, it looks Durant 7'4" is what it looks, and just with the you cannot believe, Stugotz, the length of these arms. It's whatever it is that you've thought in the history of the sport, that's not going to be a blockable shot. And when he has 5 blocks yesterday is because the wingspan is something that you don't understand when you're looking at it. I don't know what the longest in the history of the league is. I don't know if Bol at 7'7" is longer, but this doesn't play like Bol. This plays more like Giannis when you're watching, and it's one of these things that you can get excited about early because if it's healthy, it's can't miss.
I'm watching the video right now, and Woody's right. That's the key. The key is he can do all the things, like he's doing point guard things, and they look natural to him, which is kind of like Giannis in that regard, right? That's incredible. What team is he on?
He's on a team called G League Ignite, which is the team. I actually think they're kind of a fascinating story. They're basically if you don't want to go to college and play professional basketball for a year, it's an AAU team, but they play in the NBA G League, and you can get paid. And while, I guess college basketball players can get paid, it's a professional environment for a year. There have been a few first-round picks that have come from G League Ignite, but this will be by far the best of the lot.
What did you guys make yesterday? Stugotz, this one caught me off guard, and I couldn't figure out what angle it was coming from, but I assume that people listening would know. LeBron James was asked about coming up, if he had any thoughts on coming up on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record, and if he had any relationship with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And his response was no thoughts and no relationship. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a historic Laker, more ties to the organization than LeBron has, and is, a civil rights activist, but is also somebody who has been a scold. He's an opinion columnist, and he recently, for example, said of Kyrie Irving that he was making it bad for all athletes because he was making it look dumb jock of Kyrie Irving, that all athletes were dumb jocks. Did you guys read anything about what's happening there? Because LeBron usually pays respect to the game's greats. LeBron, when it comes to Michael Jordan, holds him with great reverence. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the scoring leader in that sport and not often mentioned as the greatest basketball player ever, as people argue about LeBron and Michael Jordan, but he is royalty of the highest order in that sport. And I was surprised.
In that city.
I was surprised to see LeBron do that, and I don't know what the history of it is.
I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has been critical of certain things LeBron said during like the bubble and about the COVID vaccine and stuff like that, and he publicly disagreed with him. So I don't know if that's it, and there's just not like a friendship there, and LeBron doesn't want to be called out about those things, or there might be something deeper. It might be what you mentioned. I'm not really sure, but I do know that like there has been certain things that he's been critical of.
Kobe had a great relationship with Kareem, but it's a bit different. Kobe's was a Laker for life, right? And so
Kobe also has had a good relationship with LeBron. LeBron
yes.
and Magic too. LeBron respects Laker history. The idea, we were just talking about what Aaron Judge's thing will feel like when you're and you get to trot out Roger Maris's family as an heirloom, as a mascot, as a tribute to your game's past. If LeBron were to manage to break that record, Stugotz,
a massive record, man.
Of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's, and the torch could be handed over in a way that would feel like it would have the grace of Bill Russell's death, where you knew that LeBron would pay respect there. It struck me as odd. The coldness of no thoughts and no relationship made me sad. Like, oh no, man, you guys could do such a cool thing together here as like real basketball icons during different times when it was, it was harder to be you than anybody could possibly understand. You guys could have a real and substantive relationship between substantive men who've been through shit, who have commonalities like no one else in the world would have. No thoughts, no relationship.
Maybe after LeBron retires, like there may be some more common ground between them. Like I know Kareem said something about like things that LeBron has done being beneath him, and so he apologized for that earlier this year. And so, I mean, again, like that, it might just be part of this like public coolness towards each other. But they're both. Obviously, there's a tremendous age difference. They're both kind of played through different eras. I can see why they might not see eye to eye on things, and if that's the case, I don't think, it's a shame that everyone doesn't just get along all the time, but maybe in a few years with the hindsight of his career behind him, they would kind of become friends.
It's not a guy that LeBron grew up watching or idolizing. It was Michael Jordan for his generation.
But LeBron has immense respect for the legends of the game.
I know, but it works both ways though. LeBron wants to be respected as well.
Correct.
Yes.
I think that's what's at play here, is that there's been public criticism. I don't think there's too much that passes the LeBron camp by. And so I think whenever Kareem has come out and criticized him, that it's been documented. That is one that LeBron has taken on board, and he probably just doesn't like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the things that he said about him.
Yeah, and Kareem's like very opinionated and says what's on his mind, and he did apologize for that. But like you said, Dan, he also criticized Kyrie Irving, who's friends with LeBron James, and so all of those things LeBron probably wouldn't be as apt to like praise him in an interview and talk about what a legend he is if he's just had all of these public.
My larger point, Stugotz, because you're talking about two human beings who have lived public lives that have accrued a lot of wisdom from being the person people gawked at from high school on, whether you're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or LeBron James. Very few athletes ever have had such similar paths and they've learned some things. And to the degree that you can learn from your elders, we've now watched LeBron long enough to see him try and stay 20 years in as dad in the league, dad headed toward ownership, and to treat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as grandpa and scold. Grandpa Laker scolding when both of you are kings.
Right.
Both of you ruled. Both of you, that sport, you were at the top of it, and how could you two not respect each other? You're the best of the best.
I mean, let's be honest with Kareem. It doesn't seem like he's the easiest person to get along with, right? Like, it just doesn't. Like, I'm not certain LeBron wants to spend any time with that, you know?
Does LeBron seem like the easiest person to get along with?
Not at all. But if you're LeBron, you want to hang out with a guy who's not, difficult to get along with, who's 40 years older than you?
Some people just don't like each other.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Like, some people just don't like each other.
People are complicated. Like they have multitudes. They're of very different generations. Yes, they have experienced similar successes on the basketball court, but they might not have a lot in common, actually. And if one is criticizing the other or they're both criticizing each other publicly, I don't expect them to get along.
I was trying to track down the history because I was just trying to wonder if what happened early. I believe it was earlier this year where he criticized LeBron for two things. One, kind of being wishy-washy about the vaccine, and the second was I believe LeBron did the Sam Cassell big testicles dance. And that the NBA is fining for that, and Kareem basically said, "You're someone who carries yourself in this very high esteem. You shouldn't do things like that." But
it's Grandpa.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
though.
Grandpa scold.
You're a young man. You want to hang out with the guy. You feel like he's always watching you, criticizing your every move. That's not the way we did it. I mean, get over yourself, old man.
Are you saying LeBron's young?
I mean, he's younger than Kareem. I mean,
he's younger than you.
Nitpicking at everything. I mean, the way you talk, the way you chew, what you order for lunch. I mean,
got that right.
His order. He just pops up behind LeBron. Hey, I wouldn't have gone provolone there. What you order for lunch? You just needed 3 things? You just...
Is it possible that maybe Kareem doesn't actually believe most of what he's been saying for the past 10 years, and he just saw this moment coming, so it was like a long play thing with LeBron, where it's like, let me discredit him at every turn possible, so that by the time he gets to the point where he's going to break my record, no one will respect him anymore? Is that possible?
LeBron was still on the Cavs the first time.
Yeah, once he saw him in high school.
This dates back to him in Miami. If we're gonna have a go at him.
Well, I think before high school, I think he saw him coming and he's like, this guy could be a threat to me one day. Let me get out ahead of this. He could be beloved. Let me discredit absolutely everything he could do. Yeah.
All perceived threats.
I'm telling you, we're gonna hear about the Hummer again real soon from old Kareem.
But to answer your question though, Billy, the answer to that is no. Because if you go back to 3 years ago, I'm looking at quotes from Kareem in an article he wrote for Newsweek, and he talks about LeBron in these glowing terms. LeBron's sheer athleticism motivates young players to reach for a high standard of physical preparedness as a basketball player. Then he talks about how LeBron has shed the dumb jock stereotype by saying, to laud anyone as a cultural hero, that person would also have to embody as well as promote some of the core values of that culture. LeBron has done that through his outspoken political and social advocacy, especially in support of racial equality. This was demonstrated when Fox News' Laura Ingraham famously reacted to an ESPN interview with LeBron, in which he discussed, among many other topics, politics, by saying, shut up and dribble. And instead of just engaging in a social media war, he turned her lame insult into a 3-part documentary series for Showtime. He has these incredibly positive things to say about LeBron at various points in his career. It seems as though the most recent one has turned LeBron off.
Just so we're clear, you're saying no to a 10-year-long con by Kareem to discredit LeBron?
That's correct.
I mean, you really fought back on that.
Brought some sources, too, and cited all of them.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar does respect what LeBron has done, but he's also, late in his life, Grandpa Scold, has become a very good opinion columnist that writes good stuff inside and outside of sports for Time Magazine. And if the job is to have opinions, and he knows a little something about being criticized, the stuff he's criticizing LeBron about, it really is small compared to the stuff that he's celebrating about LeBron.
What, you think the vaccine stuff is small?
Well, no, not.
Because
But
I would say that would be a pretty big contentious thing.
agreed.
If you're an athlete who is purporting yourself to be of a certain standard, and then you're going to undermine that public health messaging at a crisis point, I could see why that would be a fairly contentious point.
But which is it, though, as we go through and scroll through these, because these were all minimal slights you guys were pointing to other than that one. Other than that one, as a division, all of those other ones are things that that both LeBron and Kareem would understand as adults. Hey, these are things that athletes get criticized for. It starts to get whittled down if it's going to be about vaccines. If that's the place that LeBron is drawing the line, or even Kyrie recently going after Kyrie with dumb jock stuff.
I think Kareem holds LeBron to an unbelievably high standard by what he's done with his off-the-court acts. And I imagine LeBron probably doesn't take too kindly to don't question my ability to give opinions or lead culturally or to institute change because you don't like one or two of the things that I've said or one or two of the things that I've done. Don't undermine me as the figure that I've become to help institute change in this country and in my community, both in Akron and in Los Angeles. I can't imagine LeBron is probably taken too kindly to any way that anyone would try and undermine his ability to institute social change. And Kareem did. And that's probably where he most feels icy towards that.
That's probably fair by LeBron too, right? Like, he feels like he believes these things. He's done this work, and if every single thing he does and says isn't up to Kareem's standard, he's going to criticize him. Like, it's easy to say, like, yeah, F off. Like, I'm going to do my own thing.
Well, that's what he just did, though. When he says no thoughts, no relationship,
That's F off.
That is F off. His new HBO documentary, 38 at the Garden, is available on October 11th. A lot of different stuff I want to talk about with Jeremy Lin. Thank you for making the time for us, joining us from China. What are the burdens, Jeremy, that you would say that we don't know about that came with being you and what looked like a fun ride, but we can't possibly know what it was like to be you?
I mean, I try not to complain too much because the pros far outweigh the cons, but it was also a really scary time for me. I'm not necessarily like, my personality is not maybe conducive to being a celebrity. Like, I still get nervous, I'll sweat when I get recognized, my body naturally seizes when people recognize me, and so losing the privacy and the freedom was definitely a big part of it. I think there was a lot of scary things that happened, people trying to, steal from me or monetize off of me, or people that I loved and trusted that, kind of betrayed me and the whole thing. And so those are some of the burdens that, maybe one day I'll open up a little bit more about. But the pros are definitely, I could go even longer about all the pros.
Oh, I don't want to turn you into a complainer about this. So this is me asking the questions, but I've heard you be introspective about this stuff.
You're trying to find the bad and the best time in Knick fan history? I mean, what are you doing?
I have heard him talk about some of this stuff, the discomforts with fame. You can't be prepared for that.
I know.
You must have learned so much about yourself very quickly.
Oh, I mean, there is no crash course for what to do when you become the most Google search person on the planet overnight. Like that course was not offered at Harvard, and so it was just baptism by fire, learning a lot, figuring out a lot, and honestly exposing a lot of who I am and my character to myself. And realizing that how I handle situations, how I communicate or don't know how to communicate, my naiveness and being overly trusting of people and different things like that, all of these kind of came into play off the court that the public was not aware of.
How about culturally and family patterns and disciplines that were teaching you about how to be as you arrive at now having to communicate for yourself and dealing with the stuff of, I'm sweating when I meet people and now I've got to go play against LeBron in Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so interesting because so much of, a lot of the, I'm being a little bit more broad and generalizing here, but within Asian culture, there's going to be this level of like reputation or saving face and being ultra polite. And that just doesn't mix that well with the basketball and NBA culture. And so, respecting your elders and those types of things and deferring, like these are all things that I had to learn on the court and off the court, that I was raised a certain way. But if I was to stay in that place, it would hinder me in my ability to perform as a basketball player. And these are some of just, that's just a snapshot into how kind of culturally I had to unwire certain things to be able to kind of survive in the world that I was in.
Take us through that. What is your relationship with both humility and ego?
My relationship, man, you're coming in with the hard-hitting questions. All right. I love it. I think humility and ego. I mean, ego is important because you can't, and that's the thing is, I used to think humility was like thinking very low of yourself. I don't think that's, humility is not asking you to be, just to be stepped on, right? Like, that's not what humility is. I think humility is understanding who you are, being secure in that, and also still finding ways to serve and love other people. And so I think that's something that I really had to learn along the way, and to realize that actually sometimes in certain situations, the best thing I could do is to actually take over and shoot the shot, or to wave people off, or to do those things. And so that's kind of where I realized that, like, man, humility does not just mean like, oh, forever, like everyone else do whatever they want, and I'm just, and I'm just a punching bag.
Jeremy, when you were in the middle of this incredible run that you had with the Knicks, why did the term Linsanity make you cringe?
I mean, if it wasn't within the context of like a billion other Lin puns, I'm sure I'd be like more cool with it. But it's because like everywhere I went, everyone's like, oh, that's so interesting. Oh man, you play Super Nintendo? Oh, like, it's just like everywhere I went, everyone thought it would be so funny to like share a Lin pun with me. And I was just like, okay, this whole thing's lame. That's what I was thinking in the moment. Yeah. And so Linsanity was just another like lame Lin pun. And, I know I'm saying it very matter of fact. That actually in retrospect, I'm like very grateful for just the creativity and just, how trends happen and take off. And that's just what everybody was doing. And I'm very grateful for it. But in the moment, I couldn't see it or appreciate it. I was just like, I want to be Jeremy. I don't even want to be like, I don't want to be anything else but just Jeremy. And I felt like Linsanity was like pushing this like superhero, like phenomenon in these shoes that I couldn't fill. Like I felt like that was being forced onto me, and I just wanted to be the same person that I thought I was for the previous 22 years of my life.
What do you know now in retrospect that you would apply to that time to do some things differently?
Very easy answer. Number one, first and foremost, I totally wish, one of my biggest regrets in life, I wish I had slowed down and embraced the journey. I know that in the midst of Linsanity, like it went from I'm fighting for my life, I'm fighting for my career, to okay, I got my career, and now, or at least I got this season. Like I'm guaranteed for the season, and now I gotta continue to show that I'm good enough so that they want me next season. And as I'm starting to show that I'm good enough, it was like, okay, well now I need to take it up another notch, because everyone is thinking like, oh, this is Linsanity, he has the potential to really be a star. And then it was like, okay, now I got to be thinking about getting this win streak and getting into the playoffs. And then it was like, okay, well, what about the playoff performance? It was just always something, another goal. It was just goal after goal after goal. And I spent so much time thinking like, if only I could get to a rotation player in the NBA, I'd be happy. And I finally got there, and it was just a new goal. And so if I could go back, I would just slow down and really embrace like every day, all the small wins, you know, like I would have just not rushed through it and then just been like, okay, cool, I got this. Now what's the next thing? I would have really like found intentional ways to slow things down in my mind and to just like sit in the moment of whatever it was, whether it was a Laker game or any other game.
What do you remember about the competitive cruelty? Because people, once you got to that, now they want to make you look bad. That ecosystem is really survival of the fittest. Who were the people who were coming after you with an intensity that was different than anything you'd seen?
Who wasn't coming at me with an intensity? I mean, and I think that's the thing. It was like my whole life, it was like when people saw me, it was either okay, he's Asian, he's lunch meat, like I'm gonna go after him, this is gonna be hilarious, I'm gonna abuse this guy on the court. Or it was like, okay, he's Asian, oh my goodness, I better not let him score on me or do anything remotely embarrassing to me. No matter what, there was a target on my back. So I already had that coming in, because either people thought they were going to get embarrassed, they were going to embarrass me, or they really didn't want to get embarrassed by me. Now you add in Linsanity and it's like times 3x what that intensity would normally be. But if you're asking me who are the people that really came after me, number one was the Miami Heat like squad. It was almost like their like, I don't know, like it was like a fun like game that they were all in on that I wasn't aware of just like who could make my life the most miserable. And then Darren Williams, the second time we played, he came at me with a different type of energy of like, okay, your breakout game was against me, and let me just show you real quick. Let me just drop 33 on your head and give you this loss. And so those are two that come to my mind.
What do you remember about that Heat game, about coming in to play the big three? What did you think was going to happen, and where and when did you get caught off guard by, it was a concerted team effort, we are all going to try and take this away from him?
It was just the energy from tip-off. Like, it was such a hype game, and so, everybody knew, like, it was like, and everyone was healthy, so, like, the rosters were full. But, like, right from the jump, I mean, I was seeing LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Mario Chalmers. I mean, they were playing defense. Like, Chris Bosh was, like, coming out on a pick and rolls. Like, this is, like, 12 seconds into the game, and I'm like, and they're, like, almost hard hedging, doubling me, and I'm like, where am I? Like, what's going on? You guys realize you have, like, Amari and Melo. And
you forced Chalmers to play defense.
Too, right?
I mean,
I'm like, dude, you guys normally don't play defense till the second quarter at the earliest. Like, what are you guys doing? But no, it was a different type of energy that night.
Did you sense that coming into the game? Did you know LeBron and Wade were going to go out of their way to do that to you?
I had no idea. I honestly had no idea. I mean, I knew there's a big buildup, but it didn't seem different than like the buildup to the Laker game. You know what I mean? So it was like with a Laker game, it was like there's the big buildup, but people were just like, like we'll see if things get out of hand. No, the Miami game was like, oh no, like we're gonna suffocate him from before the game until 48 minutes, into the game, and that one definitely like. It definitely caught me by surprise because I thought there was no way they were going to do that because I had such talented teammates around me. Like, there's no way they could put that much pressure on the pick and roll.
People might not understand just how difficult the entirety of your journey was. People might not understand how tough you actually are. But what are the moments where you found yourself doubting your toughness? Because it's hard to hang around the fringes of the league, and it's hard to be where you were and then go back to the fringes of the league.
I mean, that's that's a very that's a great question, because to me, the D League is different. And the G League now that I went back in year 11, like, I'm like, dude, this is like a 5-star experience compared to what it was before when we were in like traveling 11 hours on the bus to games, and there'd be cockroaches, and there'd be snowstorms, so we couldn't eat food the whole day before the game except for saltine crackers that the Holiday Inn Express happened to have, and there's no room service, there's no cars to get around the snow. The stories that I have from that first year in the D League, I go on and on and on. I mean, people having to practice in sandals or vans because the luggages are lost and things. I mean, it's us having to wait for fourth grade volleyball teams to and fighting over the court times because the volleyball teams are like, oh no, this is our court time, and we're just like, okay, all right, well, we'll just wait outside for another 30 minutes. It was just a different experience, and that really shows you what you're made of. And then to go from the height of Linsanity and everything that I had to being able to go back to the G League in year 11 to essentially say, in my 11th year, I'm actually at a lower point than I was in my first year, because my first year I was an NBA contract that was assigned to the D League. In my 11th year, I was just a member of the G League, not even with an NBA contract. The fact that I made that decision and I passed up millions of dollars in other places to go back and pursue that, to me, was probably one of the more tough decisions that I've had to make in my life.
Do you have a basketball period or a moment that you regard as happier than the moments during Linsanity? Is there anywhere in there that you just assign a happiness that doesn't come with burdens, responsibilities, or things you weren't expecting?
That's the crazy part, and I don't even know if people are gonna believe me when I say it, but I was happier in some of the lowest moments of my career, after that injury in Brooklyn when I ruptured my patellar tendon and missed 81 games of the season. My faith was in a different place. When I was in the middle of Linsanity, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't know how to, because I felt like I had to be somebody and prove something to be fulfilled. And then by the time that I was proving and doing all these things, I realized it wasn't fulfilling. By the time that I was in Brooklyn and I had gotten injured, my faith had taken me to a place where I was very secure in who I was as a son of God, and I didn't feel like I had to prove that I deserved anything. I felt like I was more secure in that. And so when you talk about the happiness and the fulfillment, I really had it. As my career has gone on, that has gotten stronger and stronger, and I've become happier and happier and able to enjoy wherever I'm at, even if it's not at the destination that I wish I was at.
Well, the destination you wished you were at wasn't what you expected it to be, correct? That'll alter. That's a bit of a mind bleep to arrive. You arrived at your dreams. Did you not know what you thought you were your dreams? Starring in Madison Square Garden, putting up 30-plus games, that might have exceeded your expectations.
It far exceeded my expectations, and maybe I can draw a difference between happiness, because I was very happy on the court during those moments, during the Laker game, during that whole run. I was happy on the court for sure, but was I joyful? Was I fulfilled? Not so much. And so maybe I'm talking about two different things. Maybe I'm talking about more about the joy and contentment aspect of it. But in terms of the happiness on the court, I mean, those games, those amazing games, I mean, yeah, those were very, very, very happy times.
Can you give us a handful of the things? It could be whatever they are, just experiences, meeting someone. But during the middle of that, when you're calling your boys all over because you're saying you're not going to believe who wanted to meet me. You're not going to believe who I just spent time with. You're not going to believe what just happened. When you think of those moments, what are they?
You guys are gonna laugh at me. This just shows you how unprepared I was as a celebrity. I didn't even know, I didn't even realize the people that wanted to meet me and who they were. I was so oblivious. I remember getting my after the games, people would be like, oh, so-and-so wants to meet you. And I'm like, who? I just remember thinking about their first name. I'm like, I don't know them. And dude, that's this insanely popular musician or actor or whatever. I was just so in my own world. And then when you think about what were the moments that brought me so much joy, it was you won't believe this. It was when I got a life-size fruit roll-up jersey sent to my house, or when I got like these like boxes of like free, like it was just like these random clothing brands, and they would give me like jeans because at that time I only owned like 2 pairs of jeans. I was like, dude, I just got a whole box of free jeans. Like those are the things I was getting excited about. It was so, or like, oh man, like I just got a gaming laptop, you know, like someone just sent me a free gaming laptop. It was just like, I just was, you know, I didn't understand. And then meanwhile, it's like, oh, you get to go to the Time 100 event, or you get to go to the ESPYs and walk the red carpet and win the best breakout player of the year. I'd be like, oh my gosh, no, do I have to wear a suit? They're like, yeah, you have to wear a suit. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I mean, that's just who I am, you know. It's pretty embarrassing.
38 at the Garden is available October 11th. Could have talked to you for a lot more time. Hopefully I'll get another chance to do it. Jeremy, thank you for being on with us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, man.